The following is a live sports event featuring the Abernathy Antelopes or Lady Lopes and is under the direction of AA Sports Properties in partnership with Abernathy ISD. This broadcast cannot be reproduced or retransmitted without the written consent of AA Sports Properties. Tonight's broadcast is made possible by the support of our generous sponsors: MC Master Roofing and Construction, South Plains Auto Ranch, First State Bank, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Abernathy First Baptist Church, Storm Guard, Clark Riley Insurance, Able Funeral Home and Flower Shop, Plains Land Bank, JC Refrigeration, Spradlin Spray Service, Vista Bank, Lambert Insurance, The Junkin Farmers Market, Ty Horsford Realtor, and DB Media. Buckle up and enjoy all of the exciting action with the Abernathy Antelopes and Lady Lopes.
To Rolando. This time he takes it himself, untouched, into the end zone. Rolando Martinez from 1 yard out, and the Abernathy Antelope strike first. Comes McKaylen Marshall off the dribble. Mid-range jumper. Marshall gives Abernathy the lead. Now he hands it to Rolando. Burst of speed up the middle. Jagger! Touchdown! Superman! Now, second, thrown away in the corner. Flores. It's good! Flores the steal and the three-pointer as time runs out. The flag comes in, the punt is blocked, and it's going to be an Antelope touchdown, barring the penalty, as it's Cash Garcia who blocked it, scooped it, and scored it. Let's check. And good evening, Abernathy, Texas. Good evening, fans of the Antelopes and Lady Lopes. It is week 10 of Outside the Box. Chance Rocha, Ty Horsford, alongside you this fine Halloween's Eve. And Chance, we talked about...
it's getting spooky. Playoffs around the corner.
We talked about dressing up, but in my love for Halloween, I nixed that idea. But nonetheless, hope you're enjoying a busy Halloween week, and we're excited to be with you here this evening. And we will just go ahead and jump right in, Chance, and an absolute Abernathy domination this last Friday. It was kind of as we expected somewhat, as Abernathy rolls to a 67-0 win over their rivals from Floydada in the 60th all-time meeting between those two teams. It was kind of all Abernathy all the time. Same story, different verse as we turned the page after that big shutout win over New Deal, and we did it and then some against the Floydada Whirlwinds. And just no matter how you slice it, Chance, it was complete domination. Over 600 yards of total offense, while you hold Floydada to just 126, which I think what even is a more impressive number, just 46 rushing yards for the Whirlwinds all night long.
Yeah, they just dominated from basically the first whistle, Ty, and it was kind of pretty eerily similar to that New Deal game, with it being you jump out early to a quick lead, and then same thing happened to Floydada that happened to New Deal. Quarterback gets hurt, goes out of the game, and so they were already shorthanded. We talked about that to start the game. They didn't even have a JV squad. They didn't even have some junior high kids. And we don't know what that is. We don't know if it's kids. We don't know if it's grades. We don't know if it's discipline. But they've just been shorthanded, and then their quarterback ends up getting hurt. So that really put them behind the eight ball big time. But besides that fact, Abernathy still played Abernathy Antelope football, and that's the biggest thing that we wanted to see. And we knew they moved some of those young kids up, those freshmen up, to kind of get them some playing time. Yep. And that was exciting. It was exciting to see basically that whole fourth quarter and some of the third quarter, a lot of those young guys getting to play. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, you saw a lot of the future of Abernathy Antelope football, and
looks bright.
Absolutely it looks bright, and lots of numbers to go around. Jagger Wiley Just another solid performance for him. 21 of 29 passing, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception on the night, and then just Rolando Martinez was insanely good. He goes over 200 yards rushing, 205 yards chance on 11 carries. He surpasses 1,000 yards rushing for the season. He rushes for 3 touchdowns, and he added a couple receiving touchdowns and 83 yards. So you have Rolando accounting for 5 offensive touchdowns. He also threw an interception on defense. And then you mentioned the young guys, Chance. Colt Micheletti, he came in, got his first action as a varsity Antelope, and what does he do? First carry of his career, goes 73 yards for a touchdown, 121 yards on 3 carries for the night for him, and a 45-yard pick 6 return for a touchdown. And it was also good to see Caleb Brown back in the lineup as well.
It was, it was exciting to see him back in the lineup. And, his first carry wasn't very exciting, but then he had another one where he was able to break it out and he ran hard. And I know that's big for him, being a senior, getting those pads back on, getting back into the rhythm and filling things out. He's dealt with injuries last year. He dealt with an injury earlier this year, and I know that's something that it means a lot to him to be able to be back on the field as a senior. And then another guy, Carson Curry, yet again, all over the field, led the team in tackles. He had 8 of them. And then Jay Karkey led the team in tackles for loss. He had 3 of those as well. So
and those, I think all 3 may have come in the first half of the ball game. As he was living in the Floydada backfield in the first half of the ball game. And you could go on and on, Chance. Lots of big performances. But I think it is important to get guys like Brown back just because it gives you an added dimension to your offense, or even throwing in a kid like Micheletti, who may not see a ton of carries, but he's a guy that you can bring in, and he's immediately a big play threat. And from what we've heard, he's going to stay up on the varsity roster. And so he's a kid, too, that can help you, gives Rolando a little bit of backup, if you will, and just some different things you can get creative with on the offensive side of the ball.
No, for sure. And I think, like you said, that first carry, for him just to rally off 73 yards,
he's fast.
He just looked like he belonged, and it's fast in a different way. You have Rolando.
He's different than Rolando.
You can tell Rolando. He runs hard, and he Rolando's kind of a Taj Brooks, Le'Veon Bell, that type, where he's going to kind of pick and choose and then pop and then go. He can still outrun guys, but he's going to run hard too. Micheletti, he's going to run hard, but as soon as he gets the ball, he makes one cut, and it's just dead sprint.
Yep.
And it was beautiful to see that. I don't know how many times I went back and watched that highlight of him, getting through the middle and then cutting to the sideline and just going. And so that's something that, like you said, just being able to spell Rolando, between him and Caleb Brown, to get some extra carries and being able to draw plays up for a guy who, if you get him in space, he's going to do some damage. And as a freshman, to show that you belong, that's pretty exciting. And then I think that, continuing to be able to allow Caleb to get those carries to build his confidence as we're working through the end of district and into the playoffs.
Well, and then you throw in the which you've had this dimension, but the Aaron Russum dimension. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball that you can turn to. Absolutely,
for sure.
So, how does the district standings look heading into the final 2 weeks of the regular season, Chance? It's a battle for Antelope supremacy at the top of the district. You've got Post remaining undefeated as they eked by the New Home Leopards. We thought that game might be close, and in all reality, New Home had them beat and kind of lost it late. But 42-34, Post remains unbeaten on the season. And in district, Abernathy 6-2 overall now. They are also 3-0 in district play with their win over Floydada. And then you've got Olton, a pesky Olton team at 5-3, Chance. They are 2-1 in district play, and they rolled New Deal. Seems like everybody's rolling New Deal.
Yeah, they continue to
these days. Sure. They put up a 42-0 win on the Lions, and then you've got New Home. They're at 3-5, 1-2, Chance, and they've got to just feel a little bit defeated after a game. It sounds like they played really pretty well in. Against Post. And then you've got New Deal and Floydada rounding out the standings. And so right now it's appearing like you're going to have Post, Abernathy, Olton, and New Home kind of in the playoffs. That's not clinched mathematically,
Right.
but that's what most projections are pointing towards.
Yeah, it is. And you kind of said it. New home, and we talked about it, earlier this week. They're one of those teams to where if they get in, whether they're the 3 or the 4 seed, they're going to play somebody tough because they have the kids to do it. And I think that, Post and Abernathy are at the top, and New Home has played both of us. So that's their 2 losses. Olton's only played Post. That's their 1 loss that they have. And so, that's where we sit. Post is going into this week, and they're going to play Floydada. I mean, I think both of us kind of think, hey, that's going to be kind of a big blowout, but we'll kind of get to some of that here in a second. But the thing with Abernathy, you're 6-2 now, 3-0 in district, and at this point last year, Ty, we had to win our last 2 games to even make in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And you win 5 total games last year. You've already won 6 this year. So just seeing the momentum and the leadership and the way this team has continued to grow, your only 2 losses are against ranked teams. One that's number 4 in the state and one that's number 8 in the state, and small schools. So, and you've kind of won both ways. You've had 2 big blowout wins, and then you've had 3 come from behind wins.
Yep.
And just to kind of see the resiliency and the makeup of our squad, I think it goes a long way. And I know you're cautious. You're cautiously optimistic, Ty, but I just think this team they're just clicking at the right time when you need
Absolutely,
them to.
they are. Yep.
And so I'm excited about it. And I know that, we kind of talked about Post. New Home had them dead in the water, honestly. And, they're leading.
They led the whole game.
Yeah, they led the whole game, and then Post scores 2 touchdowns with less than 3 minutes left in the game. That sounds kind of familiar. That's kind of almost – we were ahead the whole game against New Home, and then they battle back, and we end up scoring. But, we literally were keeping track of that game, and we looked at the end score, and I was like, how did it end up 42-34?
Yep.
And you look back, and Post scores, they go up 35-34, and then New Home tries to get fancy on the kickoff return, and they fumble it, and Post picks it up, and 2 plays later they end up scoring a touchdown. And so that's got to be tough right there for the Leopards.
A team that has to feel snake bit is New Home. They had the game with us, that they had a golden opportunity to beat us on the road. They also had a golden opportunity to beat Post at home. The 2 top dogs right now, and they kind of let them both slip away a little bit. And so they've got to be thinking what could have been, but also they're looking to still get in the postseason and maybe try and pull a first-round upset. Just to kind of finish the district recap of last week, Chance, we talked about it, Olton. This next week's opponent, they blow out New Deal 42-0. They took a beating last week by Post. They rebound in a big way. They jumped out early, and they never looked back. And it really appears like Olton, and I don't remember where that game was, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, Olton is a much better team at home, it seems like, than they are on the road as well. And so we'll preview that Abernathy Mustang matchup here a little bit later in the program, Chance. But as we take a look at the week to come, it's a big week in District 2A. As, again, you have Abernathy and Olton. We'll preview that one. We'll make some picks a little bit later in the program. But then you have Post. They host a Floydada team that Chance, that's almost not even fair.
Yeah.
You feel like I would expect Floydada to still be without Ty Henderson just by what we saw and the way it looked. I know you and I both have no doubter in this one, Post rolling. I have them 77-0 or 77-6. I think is what my pick was in favor of the Bold Gold.
Yeah, I got Post rolling, continuing to roll. Just with Floydada already struggling and them being shorthanded, kind of like they were against us, I think Post is going to put up at least 62, and I think they'll blank the Whirlwinds. They're at home, and I expect kind of a good and a bad thing. They could have some rust coming into the Abernathy game, because I'm sure they're going to pull their starters, but also that helps them to get an extra week of being healthy coming into that final week against us. So that could threaten us, but at the same time, I think that Floydada is kind of just playing for pride. They're not in the playoffs, and so I don't think it's going to look good. So on the other side of the coin, kind of crazy, New Deal still somehow has a shot at getting into the playoffs.
If they beat New Home.
They got to beat New Home, and they end their season with Floydada. So that game, likely they could probably beat them, but they get New Home at home. I don't think they're fully back healthy, and even if they are, I don't know if they can match up well against New Home. But I just think that that's something that I still think New Home's going to go in there and take care of business and win. I have them kind of dominating possibly going, maybe 36-42 nothing. And it sounds crazy, and it's crazy to think that, I kind of look back at the history. Newdale hasn't missed a playoff since 2003. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like an Abernathy. You don't miss the playoffs. And so, but with injuries and the stuff that they've been struggling with, I can see it happening. You picked them to miss the playoffs. I had them sneaking in at fourth. But right now, it looks like that New Home will go in there and beat them. And then that final week of the season, if we take care of business against Olton, it's looking like that you're going to have
the four playoff teams are playing each other.
Yeah, Post and us deciding the 1 and 2, and then you have New Home and Olton deciding the 3 and 4 seed. And so it's going to be tough. And I know you probably have New Deal getting beat too, Ty.
I do. I have New Home. Maybe New Deal keeps it close early, just playing at home and with a lot on the line. But I do have New Home winning 35-13. I think New Home is easily the better of the two football teams in that matchup. And Charnce, yeah, like you said it, a New Home win puts, and if Abernathy can take care of business on the road against Olton, that sets up Abernathy and Post playing for a district championship next Friday, and you've got the Mustangs and the Leopards battling it out for that 3 and 4 seed. And again, I don't want to get too far ahead of us because we'll preview the matchup next or late at the end of the program. But that's what makes this game with Olton this next week for the Antelopes so important.
Yeah.
Because a win locks up a number 1 or number 2 seed regardless of the outcome against Post, and that avoids a Sunray or Panhandle matchup in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and you definitely, we played Sunray, so we know what to expect from them. But, getting them later on in the playoffs, that gives you the ability to keep growing as a team. And so, yeah, Olton or New Home hopefully are battling for that. But like you said, they're going to be facing off against one of those two teams because they've already played. Sunray's likely going to be the 1 seed, and Panhandle, if they finish out the season the way that we expect them to, they'll probably be the 2 seed. So,
yep.
But like I said, we can kind of talk more about that later on when we kind of get into the preview with Olton as well. So
it's a fun time of year, no doubt.
Spooky season.
Some people call it Halloween. I call it playoff season.
That's it.
And district championship seasons. And so let's take our first time out on the broadcast, and we will be back. Take a look around AISD, highlighted by a chat we had earlier this afternoon with head coach of the Abernathy Lady Lope basketball team, Mikey Marshall, as they get prepared to open up their season on Saturday afternoon. So stick with us, and we will be back here in just a minute.
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Spradlin Spray Services. Danik Spradlin is a local leader in aerial and spray services and has been meeting the needs of local farmers for a long time. A staple in the Abernathy community, Spradlin Spray Services is ready to meet your aerial spraying needs today. We are a proud supporter of Abernathy's young people and are wishing the Lopes and the Lady Lopes the very best of luck on and off the field this season. At Abernathy's First Baptist Church, our mission is to love God, love people, and tell the world. Our pastor is Damon Pierce, and we want you to know that you're always welcome at Abernathy's First Baptist Church. We meet for Sunday school on Sunday mornings at 9:30, followed by our worship service at 10:45. We offer kids and youth activities every Wednesday night beginning at 6 p.m. Come as you are and join us this Sunday. We'd love to see you. We are praying the Antelopes and Lady Lopes have a successful and safe school year.
And welcome back to Outside the Box. Ty, let's kind of, before we get to the basketball and all the fun stuff that we did earlier this week, let's wrap up football for this past week. We had our sub-varsity report. 7th grade, it was kind of a weird deal. They were supposed to play after the 8th grade because Floydada didn't have a full 7th grade squad. It was really confusing. We get there, 8th grade's on the field. They pull the 8th grade off the field, and then 7th grade ended up scrimmaging. They did about a 20-minute scrimmage, but they really dominated Floydada the entire time. 7th grade squad continues to look good, and then a lot of those boys that scrimmaged actually played up with the 8th grade group to play against the 8th grade boys, and the 8th grade boys just handled business, kind of got back on the winning track still. They won 52-8. Cutter Johnson had 3 touchdown passes. Aiden Brillia had a big night as well. He had touchdown runs of 60 yards, 40 yards, and another 60-yard run. Kingston Awful had a touchdown of 25 yards, a receiving touchdown of 50 yards, and a punt return touchdown of 80 yards. It was kind of a funny play. The ball was kicked to Cutter Johnson's side, actually, and he kind of muffed it a little bit. Kingston said, "Don't worry, bud. I'll take care of this," and took it to the house. So we joked after the game and said, "Hey, did y'all plan that? Was that in the playbook there?" So, and then Ralphie Barrios kind of ended the game with a 40-yard touchdown reception as well. So it was a big night across the board, a big defensive night, and just really taking care of business for them. And then the JV squad, we mentioned that that Floydada didn't have a JV, so they actually hosted Tahoka, and they lost 18-0. But a lot of those skill players were moved up Friday night for the varsity football game, and so they battled it out, but they ended up falling short to Tahoka as they were down some guys that got moved up to varsity. So, but they all battle this week against Olton, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, we get the sweep of wins on Thursday and Friday this week. So.
Absolutely. And as far as volleyball Charnce is concerned, both junior high and varsity Lady Lope volleyball kind of wrap up their seasons over the weekend and on Monday night. You had both 7th and 8th grade dominant wins in straight sets over Tahoka. You had a 7th grade team, Charnce, that only lost one district match all season long. They lost 2 or 3 other games in tournament play at different points in the season, but a really successful year for the 7th grade Lady Lopes. You have the 8th grade team do well as well. They kind of had some ups and downs, battled some injuries, but they also won their fair share of matches as well. And while the varsity's record does not end up what you want it to end up, again, valuable experience for a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. They closed out their season with a loss to Tahoka at home on Saturday in their pink out game. And they honored their lone senior in Molly Shipley. But outside of that, it was freshmen and sophomores going up against varsity competition. So, again, we've talked about it. The future still looks bright for the volleyball program. And I tell you what, Coach Thompson has a task at hand in starting a program from scratch. And I think she's doing it the right way, and she's kind of starting from the ground up, and it just takes time. It takes time and a lot of energy and a lot of patience.
I think so too, Ty, and I think she's bringing that culture of getting those girls started early, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. You can tell the girls they're enjoying it and they want to compete at it. And then you even have some younger girls. They're getting some camps and things like that. Even, it's some of your kids in elementary, your 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders that are getting excited about volleyball. Because before you didn't have that opportunity, so there wasn't any real reason to practice it or do some of those things. But now you see some of those elementary kids wearing, LCU volleyball camp shirts and things like that. So I think it's exciting. I think the future is bright for that volleyball program here at Abernathy.
Okay, let's turn the page, Charnce. I love football. I'm all about football. But round ball season is equally as fun, especially when you get into the heat of district competition. And the Abernathy Lady Lopes, they get started a little bit ahead of the boys. And so we'll preview the boys later on.
Hopefully not for a while.
Yeah, hopefully not for a while. They may start, but hopefully it's not a full squad.
That's right.
For several weeks. Lots of expectations for the Abernathy Lady Lopes as they make the drop down to 2A, Charnce. They are picked, according to TABC, Texas Association of Basketball Coaches, in preseason number 23 in the state. I'll be honest with you. I don't have a problem with it. Preseason rankings are what they are.
Yeah, sure.
I'm shocked that Abernathy was not higher than that.
Me as well.
But again, and that actually ranks them 3rd in our district behind New Home and Floydada. And then basketball coaches have New Deal kind of picked to finish 4th in the district, and those be the 4 playoff teams. But don't tell Coach Mikey Marshall that the Lady Lopes were picked 3rd. I think he's got a lot of confidence in this group, and I think he feels like they're the team to beat in district play.
I think he does too, and I think that's just from the culture he's trying to set, Ty. He spoke to us about some of that, and then also just what he's seen on the court. And then also you have some girls coming back. You have Easterwood coming back, 3 seniors coming back, and then you have Blasquez who is back here now with her dad coming back to coach here. So and then he has 3 freshmen that are going to be up on varsity as well, and then those freshmen that are on varsity last year as sophomores that are going to be returning to the team. So he has a good returning squad, obviously led by his daughter, the Tulane commit. But I think that, when he spoke with us earlier, you could just feel the excitement. We talked a lot about the district and the preseason that they have set in place. And I think that what he's looking at, you look at that trophy case there in Abernathy, you have those state championships. Yes, has it been
6
a while?
of them.
Yeah, has it been a while? It has. But at the same time, to have those, to have the district championships, and some of the history that you have, and I think that he feels some of that importance, and he wants to bring that culture back to Abernathy.
Yeah, I mean, you look at over the course of history, at least 10 district championships, tons of playoff appearances. You have state runner-ups 3 times. You win the state championship 6 times in your history. Lots of banners on the wall there in the Antelope Gym. And Abernathy wants to return to that level of play. It's been a while since they've been. I think there was lots of expectations last season, and they kind of were abruptly knocked out in the first round of the playoffs against a Canadian ball club that's always tough. But again, making the drop down to 2A, the Abernathy Lady Lopes looking to make a splash in the district and even in the region and make a push for another state tournament berth. Chance, they scrimmaged this past weekend. They kind of went to Friendship and competed in a 3-way scrimmage. They got wins over Slayton pretty handedly. They were able to beat Seminole in their however long they played, 20 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it was. And then I think they dropped a game or a set to Friendship by just 1 point. And so we'll talk a lot, and we talked with Mikey in our interview about the daunting schedule that they have coming up. Chance, you've got the likes of Coronado, Plainview, Canyon Randall, Canyon, West Plains,
Estacado.
Nazareth, Estacado. Need I say more? They're in the Friendship tournament. They're in the big school division of the Caprock tournament. And so Mikey is kind of throwing them to the wolves here in the non-district portion of the schedule. But to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that's kind of his philosophy. And so we don't want to take too much away from his interview. We'll chat a little bit more about these things. But let's let you hear from the head man himself, head coach of the Abernathy Lady Lopes, Mikey Marshall. Awesome. Well, here on Outside the Box, we are with head Lady Lope basketball coach, Mikey Marshall. Thanks for joining us, Coach Mikey. Appreciate it. Just want to talk to you a little bit as we get the season started officially this weekend for you guys. Heading into the season, kind of what is the focus for this team, and what are you really looking to see from them starting the season off?
Our main focus is to just be consistent, just trying to improve on last year. Not just the record, but also the culture that we established last year.
Yep.
We just want to make sure we're building this based off of a family, so to speak. I know it's kind of cliche, but we want to make this feel like a home away from home.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you've got a gauntlet of a non-district schedule coming up. You've put together a very challenging non-district schedule with the likes of Coronado, Plainview, Nazareth, Canyon schools, the whole 9 yards. Kind of, can you talk a little bit about the theory behind that and just how that's going to prepare you for not only district, but even hopefully past that?
It's going to be challenging for sure. How I see it, I'm an elite competitor. I want to compete at the highest level, no matter what the case may be, whether the classification is 6A, 5A, it doesn't matter. All of these kids are pretty much the same age. They're from freshmen all the way up to seniors. So that's kind of how the concept and the idea that I want to bring back to Abernathy, as well as the basketball community.
Yeah.
And so I just want to go out there and compete, whether it's wins or losses. I know sometimes us as coaches, we can get wrapped up in all the W's, but I feel like instead of coming away with a loss, I take it as a learning lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, compared to last year, it's a little bit different look. Abernathy drops down from 3A to 2A, completely different district, completely different region. Can you talk a little bit about what the competition, if you see any drop in competition, if it's kind of the same region-wise, if it's stronger in some cases? Can you just talk a little bit about what that's going to look like for you guys?
Well, I've seen some film, like going from shallow water, Idalou last year, it was tough every night.
Yeah,
sure. There was no breaks, and I don't foresee that at all as far as taking a break. I won't allow it, to be honest with you, because I believe in just trying to be prepared as well as possible. for whatever comes our way, whether it's an injury, an illness, of anything like that. No matter what it is, we want to stay prepared for anything that comes our way.
Yeah, awesome. Well, looking at this year's kind of varsity roster, can you talk a little bit about the makeup, what the varsity roster is going to look like, kind of going into the season and what you've seen out of this group so far in your preseason practices?
Well, we have 3 returning seniors with a lot of experience. We look for them to kind of help guide the girls and just be floor generals on the floor while they're on the floor, as well as coaches while they're on the bench. We have great leadership. We also have 2 juniors that come in with some great experience. We look for them to put in a lot of work, and they're our big girls, Emmy Easterwood and Lacey Blasquez. So for me, I know they're going to be the key. We have great perimeter players, and I know if we can solidify the inside game, it's going to help us get to exactly where we want to be and have the season that we want to have.
Yeah, awesome. Well, last question, Coach, and then we'll let you get out of here. Obviously, it's a special thing. You get to coach your daughter. She plays for the Lady Lopes McKalen. She recently committed to play D1 basketball at Tulane. Can you just talk about how special it is for you to have the opportunity to coach her and just see her achieving the goals that she has of playing at the next level?
Okay, real quick, I'm going to put on my dad hat real quick.
Please do.
And step away from being Coach Mikey.
Please do.
I'll be honest, I'm super humbled to be a part of the journey. It's been a long one, working out 3 times a day, sometimes 4, since her freshman year to get to this point. So it's been a lot of hard work and dedication that a lot of people really haven't seen for her to get to this point, So for me to be able to follow on this journey behind her, believe me, it's definitely her journey, and I'm just the tag along. I'm the coach. I'm the trainer, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But it's been a blessing, to be honest with you. But as far as a coach, it's great to just have a player that's really passionate about the game and that just really wants to bring something different to this great program.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, thanks so much, and best of luck this season.
We greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, sir. Awesome. Well, here on Outside the Box, we are with head Lady Lope basketball coach Mikey Marshall. Thanks for joining us, Coach Mikey. Appreciate it. Just want to talk to you a little bit as we get the season started officially this weekend for you guys. Heading into the season, kind of what is the focus for this team, and what are you really looking to see from them starting the season off?
Our main focus is to just be consistent, just trying to improve on last year. Not just the record, but also the culture that we established last year.
Yep.
We just want to make sure we're building this based off of a family, so to speak. I know it's kind of cliche, but we want to make this feel like a home away from home.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you've got a gauntlet of a non-district schedule coming up. You've put together a very challenging non-district schedule with the likes of Coronado, Plainview, Nazareth, Canyon schools, the whole 9 yards. Can you talk a little bit about the theory behind that and just how that's going to prepare you for not only district, but even hopefully past that?
It's going to be challenging for sure. How I see it, I'm an elite competitor. I want to compete at the highest level, no matter what the case may be, whether the classification 6A, 5A, it doesn't matter. All of these kids are pretty much the same age. They're from freshmen all the way up to seniors. So that's kind of how the concept and the idea that I want to bring back to Abernathy, as well as the basketball community.
Yeah.
And so I just want to go out there and compete, whether it's wins or losses. I know sometimes us as coaches, we can get wrapped up in all the W's, but I feel like instead of coming away with a loss, I take it as a learning lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, compared to last year, it's a little bit different.
Okay, we're sorry about that. I think you heard the interview plus about half of the interview again. We apologize. Sometimes it does some funny things on us. Technology does. But
sometimes.
Hey, it was just too good to hear it only once.
That's right.
But head coach of the Lady Lopes, Mikey Marshall, we had a great chat with him, Chance. You heard him talk about how special it was to coach his daughter, to be with her on this journey, just even as a dad, as she committed to play basketball at Tulane a few weeks ago, and just they've spent a lot of time together in the gym, and this is a special season for them.
Yeah, for sure. And you could just hear the excitement and what he wanted to do. And like I said, he talked a lot about culture and just setting that up. And he just talked about, the gauntlet of competition. It wasn't always about the W's. It's about playing antelope basketball and playing it the right way and competing at the highest level. And he said classification didn't matter to him. He wants to compete at the highest level, regardless of their 4A, 5A, 6A, or for 2A. And he wanted to have those girls ready and prepared. And he talked a little bit off camera just about like what he's excited about, how game plan and things like that too. And so just knowing that he's going into a season and he expects a lot from those girls. And I think that, they're going to rise. They may be picked third, but I think it's going to look a lot more maroon at the top of the district than they're expecting, I think, Ty.
Yeah, that is what we are hoping. You've got a couple of chances coming up to catch the Lady Lopes in action. They're still trying to nail down a time for Saturday. That's what happens when you share kids. You've got kids competing in taffy. You've got kiddos that are at the band competition in Abilene. And so at some point on Saturday, they will play the Coronado Lady Mustangs at Coronado. And then coming up on Tuesday, they'll have their first home game as both the JV and varsity, starting at 5 o'clock, will play the Plainview Lady Bulldogs. So come out and catch some Lady Lope basketball. But just a great chat. And I love the confidence that he has in this group. And I really think the ceiling is the sky is the limit, so to speak, for the Abernathy Lady Lopes.
For sure. I think that, they can probably feed off that confidence and knowing that he's going to, lead from that position. And I think he has a good mixture of girls, veteran leadership, but then he has some young girls that he's bringing up. And I think that, this group is going to be special this year, Ty, to kind of get that culture and get it back on track like he was talking about. He kind of setting it last year and then going into it this year. So you mentioned some Antelope Band. We highlighted them and a week back or so, and they were going to be competing this weekend. They compete in Abilene. They will march at 11 a.m. at Shotwell Stadium this Saturday. So if you don't have plans on Saturday, head on to Abilene and cheer on our Antelope Band. They're looking for a shot at marching at state on November 12th. So they'll compete against 23 other bands, and they want to make the final 10, and then from the final 10, the top 4 advance to state. So good luck to the Antelope Band as they head this Saturday to Abilene, and then our lone Antelope, Ty, competing in cross country at the state meet as well on Saturday. So a lot of things going on this Saturday for the Antelopes.
Yeah, Noah Rigler is he in his senior season of cross country, competing at the highest level. He runs on Saturday in Round Rock, and so good luck to Noah. We'll let you know how he finished up on next week's show. Let's take one final timeout here on the broadcast, and we will be back, and we will put the wraps on it. We'll preview the Olton Mustangs and more when we come back. You're listening to Outside the Box.
MC Master Roofing and Construction is this season's title sponsor. They specialize in roofing, construction, siding, gutters, and so much more. Servicing the West Texas region to Possum Kingdom Lake, MC Master focuses on local expertise and community commitment. With MC Master Roofing and Construction, you know you'll have quality materials, an experienced team, and a focus on the customer. At MC Master Roofing and Construction, we are a family and locally owned business, and we take pride in being the peace of mind for your family. Give us a call today to see how we can serve you. Go Lopes.
Clark Riley Insurance in Abernathy has been helping people with their property and farm insurance needs for many years. When it comes to insurance, you want to rest easy knowing you have a good rate with good coverage, and at Clark Riley Insurance, we can offer that peace of mind. We are proud to be locally owned and operated and offer a variety of insurance options to meet your needs. Give us a call today or visit us on the West Service Road in Abernathy. We are longtime supporters of the Antelopes and Lady Lopes.
And welcome back for the final time here to Outside the Box, episode number 10, as we are locked on all things Abernathy. And we're going to preview this matchup with the Olton Mustangs coming up on Friday night. Chance as the Abernathy Antelopes hit the road, and they go to I'm going to call it a tricky place to play in the Olton Mustangs. And the only reason I say that, I think it's a game the Antelopes should win. I think the Antelopes are the better team. We're going to get to our picks. I have them winning and winning comfortably. But it's a game you're going to have to go and you're going to have to play well. You're going to have to continue to play Antelope football. You cannot be looking ahead to the massive matchup with Post the following week, and you've got to go and you've got to take care of business against a team that at times this year has been pretty good, the Olton Mustangs.
Yeah, they've been pretty dominant at home. You mentioned that earlier, Ty. They kind of take care of business at home, having that home field advantage. But when they went to Post this year, they just kind of didn't show up. They laid an egg. They didn't even score till the fourth quarter of the game. And I think it was close and competitive those first couple of quarters. But then Post just kind of ran away with it. And so you never know. But at the same time, on paper, you're the better team. But you're still dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-old boys. And how they wake up that morning can dictate a lot of things. But I think if you look at the coaching and our coaching staff and how our boys have played, I think they're going to continue to play and have that momentum. And Coach Wiley talked about every week is important. Stacking days, stacking weeks. The boys mentioned that in our interviews right before district play. But I think if they have that same mindset, they'll go into Olton on Friday night and kind of handle business for sure. So.
Yeah, absolutely is. Another long-time rivalry between the Antelopes and the Mustangs. This will be the 57th meeting between the two schools. First contest between Abernathy and Olton was way back in 1931. Abernathy lost that one. They got shut out to the Mustangs, but they've played every year from 1953 to 1995, 42 consecutive years.
That's a long time.
that Abernathy and Olton played each other. Abernathy holds the all-time series advantage, 30 to 26, and they've won 10 of the last 13, dating back to the year 2000. But again, a capable Olton team, an improved Olton team. They're 5-3 and 2-1, and obviously they've got a couple of tough games remaining on their district schedule in the Antelopes, and then what could be a big one for them to close out the season as well against the new home Leopards. In their two district wins, Chance, they've outscored their opponents 104-6, but then you mentioned that shellacking they took at the hands of Post, 48-6. They've got non-district wins over a pretty good Sudan team, and they also beat Dimmitt and Vega. They've lost to Lopes and to Texaco, New Mexico, averaging 28.5 points per game on the season while giving up just 20. And we talked about it. You don't want to use the term trap game, but if there was ever an opportunity for a trap game, it would probably be one like this for the Antelopes. And you just got to hope that they go in and take care of business. And Chance, who are a couple of the players to watch when you talk about Olton?
So a couple guys you're going to look at, their offense definitely starts with their quarterback. And that probably sounds kind of silly to say that.
It always does at this level, but yeah.
At the end of the day, it really kind of just runs through him. He's not afraid to sling it around. They're going to probably throw it almost twice as many times as they're going to probably run it almost twice as many times as they throw it, but he can throw the ball. They do a lot of like quick slant routes or those easy quick routes.
5, 10, 15-yard out.
They
patterns.
throw it down the field, but it's not very often, but they're going to hit you with a lot of 10, 12, 15-yard slant routes. And his top targets are going to be the likes of Zayden Falcon, Jackson Tom Sui, and Manny Carrasco. Those are his three top targets. And then they kind of have two running backs. Isaiah Ruiz is their big play guy. Their quicker back, your actual like running back type. He'll catch balls out of the backfield too. And then you have a guy who's listed as a fullback for them, Fabian Gutierrez, and he's kind of like their short yardage guy. When they get close to the goal line, he has a lot of touchdowns, but that's because he gets a lot of touches inside the 10 and 5-yard line. And then defensively, they got two Nelson boys. They lead the team in sacks. I think they have 5 or 6 apiece. And then Fabian also leads the team in tackles on defense. So they have a good group of players. They do have a handful of sophomores on their team, which is going to happen. Olton, we are the same size as far as classification, but they still are a little bit smaller of a community. So you're going to have a lot more of those youngsters playing up on varsity. But I think that, like I said, on paper, they're a good team, but I don't know if they're going to match up size-wise and skill-wise with some of our guys. But again, that's why we play the games on Friday nights, and our Antelopes got to show up to play for sure in Olton.
As far as keys to the game, Chance, we kind of talked about it. Avoid the danger of it being a trap game, and just don't look ahead. Just don't look ahead until the one Friday night is over,
Sure.
and then you can start looking ahead. I think it always, for Abernathy, establish the run with Rolando, because when that happens, it opens up everything else in the air for the Antelopes. Don't give up the big play. When Olton has been successful, they score on big plays, and they get big yardage plays. So avoid the chunk plays defensively. And then I think this could always be a key to the game, but win the turnover battle. Don't turn the ball over. Don't beat yourself.
For sure, and I think that's something that we've done well over the past few weeks. Jagger did have a couple interceptions. They were kind of errant throws where he's kind of rolling out of the pocket and trying to make things happen. And so against a team that really is going to be a much higher level competition than we've seen the past 2 weeks, that's something that he has to kind of back off and make sure we're protecting the ball a little bit more, as well as Rolando and the running backs and the receivers being able to do that as well. Because you saw that against teams like Post, that's exactly what happened in New Home. They were trying to get back in the game, and you fumble the ball trying to do something silly, and that's what ended up costing them the game there. And so, Ty, I think it's one of those things that, at the end of the day, we just got to play antelope football. If you're established in the run, you're owning the line of scrimmage on offense and defense, I think we'll, kind of shut the door on them. I have us winning big. I think Abernathy's going to get 3 shutouts in a row. I think we're going to go to Olton and just kind of no trap game. We found our identity. We're getting hot at the right time. We're going to add some of that depth with Caleb Brown coming back. You got Micheletti playing up on varsity from what we're hearing. So you're going to have some speed that's going to be added as well. And I think we're going to go to Olton and kind of put on a show on some grass. They still have grass there in Olton.
They do.
So
They do.
Put on a show, and I think we're going to win 42-48 to nothing. I think we're going to shut them out.
I think offensively you're going to have lots of success. I have the Antelopes chance winning 42-21, kind of doubling up the Mustangs. I don't know that the game will be that close throughout. I think the Antelopes, again, are the better team. They should win, but I have the Antelopes pulling out one by 3 touchdowns over the Olton Mustangs.
Got to go for that shutout, Ty. Come on.
3 in a row. In Chance's mind, everybody gets blanked. Everybody gets shut out when they play the Antelopes.
No points. No points.
No, I like it.
Everywhere.
I like it. Okay, Chance. Well, that puts a wrap on episode 10 of Outside the Box. We're looking forward to next week's show already, as it's time to start talking seniors. We'll talk lots of football,
playoffs,
preview what could be a Titanic of a matchup with the Post Bold Gold Antelopes.
Sure.
Was telling my son and daughter at the dinner table tonight that I can guarantee you one thing: the Antelopes will be victorious. And their mind was blown that Post's mascot was the Antelopes.
What?
But anyways, we'll preview that matchup. We'll highlight some of our senior athletes. Stay tuned to our Facebook page. We'll have an opportunity for some of you senior parents to give a shout out, if you will, to your senior athlete coming up. So stick to our Facebook page this week for that information. Right around the corner, boys basketball, where we highlighted the Lady Lopes tonight. Coach Drew Thompson and the Antelopes are close to getting started as well. And so lots of things to look forward to on next week's show and the upcoming weeks as the fall rolls on in Abernathy, Texas.
It does. And with the end of one season comes the beginning of another. And we hope that football continues. You're ending your district. You're going into the playoff season where every game matters. You got to win or go home. Or like you said, it's to round ball season. And then, just kind of the ending of 7th and 8th grade junior high. They finished volleyball. Those junior high girls are about to start junior high basketball. And those 7th and 8th grade boys, they're going to kind of get – 7th grade boys are going to get their first taste of junior high basketball, and those 8th grade boys are going to finish out their junior high season next week against Post. And so I think that, it's kind of a cool deal when you see that, the tide rolling on and the traditions continue to roll with some of our kids. And I'm excited for it, but I hope we get to continue to talk football for
a few weeks
more.
Anyway. Yeah, absolutely. So as always, Chance, good night.
God bless.
And go Lopes.